SDLC, that's a beautiful piece of clip art right there. It is a cycle. It is iterative. It combines, or it covers all of these aspects of creating a piece of software. Should be pretty understandable that you want a repeatable process. You want a discrete process when you're building something as important as a software, as a piece of software. You want security injected into each aspect of the cycle, because that way you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, and you're making sure that it's incorporated at each level so that it's easier to maintain and ensure. This is the best picture of the SDLC. Where does it start? Theoretically, it starts at initiation, but because it's a life cycle, as you're phasing out one system and bringing in another one to take its place, you can theoretically say the cycle just carries on with it. It's supposed to carry a system from cradle to grave, from the initiation through disposal aspects. Initiation, in brief, we're going to go through each stage of the SDLC. Initiation is when you first decide you do need a system in place. You do need to create something. At that point, what do you do for security? You appoint an ISSO, the person who's going to be responsible for shepherding that piece of software through the life cycle in a secure fashion. You're going to start categorizing already according to FIPS 199 and 200. Those can help you. They're very easy. Did you do that with your system when you were setting it up? What did you think of 199 and 200?
It's pretty arbitrary.
Okay, all right. In what fashion?
I mean, just because the categories, like our, we had one moderate system, just because it contained PII. What was the actual risk to the organization if that PII was compromised?
You don't know until the system's live, really.
Yeah, and I don't know that it was necessarily worse than the risk of some of the other data that was classified as low.
Okay, all right. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
It's based more on like these broad categories rather than the organization's mission.
That's a very good point. I did not look at it that way. Yeah, that's a good point, though. I could see how that would be a problem. FIPS 199 and 200 help you classify your system and the data on it based on the nature of that data. And then it lists all the required controls based on those levels that it's assigned, based on those categories. I've always found it pretty straightforward. It's very checklist, very procedure-oriented, so you can actually step through it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't strongly object to it or anything, but it could probably be a little more flexible.
Okay, all right, that's fair. And every environment's going to be unique anyway, right. So there's going to be some tweaking. And unless you're in the federal space, these aren't required, but they can help you do the process. They're useful tools. At the acquisition stage, you're going about getting all the components of the system in place. This is the point where you're going to perform the feasibility study, get the requirements done, look at different alternatives, do your cost-benefit. From a security standpoint, while that's happening, what you should be doing is all these steps here. And they should map fairly stringently to the business side of the house. What do we call it when the security function looks like the business function?
Strategic alignment. Strategic alignment.
Yes, strategic alignment. Everybody should have had that answer. Yes. And these are the functions that the ISSO should be overseeing during this period. At implementation, we are just shy of going operational at this point. Here is the business side. You're going to have all of the pre-operational steps taking place. On the security side, you're doing some very similar activities. Anyone taken part in the CNA process yet? Did you have to? You did that for your system as well. What did you think of that process?
We kind of rolled them together, so it wasn't necessarily any more onerous than the audits.
No, it's actually, again, I happen to be a big fan of the NICAP, the DITS cap, what is it now, the DICAP, I think?
DIACAP.
DIACAP, yeah. It's a good process. It explains what you should be looking for. It explains what responsibilities are going to be assigned to whom. It talks about what you have to have in place from a policy and a procedure standpoint to make your system acceptable to management's acceptance of the risk. I think it's a useful tool, and it allows everybody to participate in the process. It allows management to understand and get their own purview of everything. It's useful. It's a good tool. Now you've gone operational. System's up and running. From the operational side of the house, they're going to be doing everything they can to maintain it and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do with their own metrics. You should be doing the same thing on the security side. We have configuration management over here, but that should also be happening over here too. That is an operational requirement as well as a security requirement. And you're monitoring it. You're making sure you're helping out the IT folks by making sure that all the controls are operating the way that they should be. Why is security part of getting rid of the system? We've talked about this a few times. Data remnants. We want to make sure we're not giving away hard drives and that the grade schoolers aren't looking through the classified information, right? We want to make sure that we get it out of our inventory as well. We don't want to be responsible for that material that's ghost hardware either.